Brad, Bill Doyle, Worcester Telegram. Obviously, Washington's putting a lot of attention on Isaiah. Can you just talk about the game that he had as a distributor and how other guys stepped up?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. Everybody saw it. Everybody, paid attention to it, obviously, with all the attention he was getting in Washington from them. And, I just thought we all came out with a better sense of purpose today than we probably did in those games. But, sometimes you feel a lot better when you make shots at the rate we did. And we'll go back and look at the film, and there are areas where we need to improve and get ready for Friday.
Mark Murphy, Boston Herald. Brad, how much of an emphasis was placed on pushing the ball and just getting out in transition?
None. None more than usual. Our biggest thing in transition right now is poise, so that we don't turn it over and it ends up in points for them. The most important stat of the game for us is 33-11, assist to turnover. That's the, if we only turn it over 11 times, it gives us a better chance to set our defense. And, we need to share and move the ball the way we did tonight. But, it'll be tough on Friday, and again, we're going to have to look at what we need to improve on and go from there.
Right, Chris Maddox, The Vertical. Has it been tough to get a feel for this series, kind of what's going to work, what's not? It just seems like every night different teams on either side kind of show up.
I think, again, I don't think we can react enough to sometimes the ball goes in, sometimes it doesn't, right? I mean, we made a ton of shots, and but I think I think that they really did a great job in those two games of taking it to us and being more physical and being just a better team. And we had to respond to that. So we put a lot of time in trying to think about how we could best do that, and thought we played with better purpose on both ends. We're going to have to do better, and it's just kind of the way it works. It's the fun part about the playoffs.
Brad, Kyle Hightower, Associated Press. Your team has always flowed better when you're distributing the ball and moving the ball around. 12 assists on your first 13 made baskets. How big was that tonight? Yeah,
I just thought we got great energy from everybody. Obviously, Avery's first half, having 25 points at halftime. But, I thought that everybody was playing with the right purpose. We were trying to play, a higher motor brand of basketball than we did in the last couple of games in the half court with regard to cutting more, being more active, being not just standing and watching. And we were a little bit better in that regard, and it got us moving and it got the ball moving, and then guys, once they hit the paint, made the right plays.
Coach, I think you just kind of touched on it a little bit. It seemed that the guys around around Isaiah were a lot more aggressive in terms of getting to the basket, attacking. Was that part of the mindset going to this game, to be a little bit more aggressive outside of Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah, the first part of our mindset was to throw it to our team, like I said before. And then everything else was about, if they're going to load up on the ball, we need to be really active cutting. And so we tried to be a little bit more active cutting than we were in the previous couple of games. And, whether it's drives, cuts, extra passes, then another drive, the second time it hits the paint is usually a better shot than the first time.
And Coach, the first 10 or 11 minutes that Jalen was out there, statistically he didn't put up anything, but it seemed that he was making a lot of kind of non-statistical impact plays for you guys when he was on the floor.
I thought he played a very solid game.
Brad, Steve Belfat, Boston Herald. He had a bunch of guys do stuff, but again, you mentioned the loading up to Isaiah. How important is it that a guy like Avery makes the shots but gives you production?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to always be important, but it's equally as important for everybody else to do their small role in that, whether it's opening Avery up by cutting, whether it's a roll by a big, whether it's Isaiah quickly reading it and getting rid of it and getting it to the next guy so he can make the play for him. I just thought we played real purposefully, and I had no idea that Avery had 25 at halftime, and I had no idea that Isaiah had one field goal until I looked at the stat sheet. because we were making the right plays, and that's really all that you're looking for. He said he felt a lot better.
Brad, it's Ian Thompson with NBA.com. After those 2 blowout losses in Washington, was a lot of the practice time spent on just details, on just doing the little things really hard? Like when you talked about making the cuts hard.
We had to adjust a couple of things that we just had to change and tweak a little bit because of how much pressure they were putting on us and turning us over. I thought Isaiah did a really good job of, when we talked after the film session on Monday, you could tell he had already watched it and was already thinking about kind of the next steps of how to best manage that kind of attention. And then, everybody else has to be able to play that role well. And again, I thought that's when we're at our best, is when guys are soaring with their strengths and everybody else is looking to help that guy next to him soar with their strengths.
Celtics.com. You guys, throughout the season, even during this playoffs, so many people on the outside have written you guys off, but it seems like every single time you respond. Why is this group able to push aside all that noise and succeed in the face of adversity?
I don't know. I just think these guys are such competitive guys and such elite athletes. Not just talking about our team, but all these teams, and they're prideful and they want to play really well. That doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but at the end of the day, we want to put our best foot forward. We wanted to play better than we did in Washington. I thought Washington had more to do with the outcomes in Washington than we did. I thought that they were just better. But clearly we needed to play better to have a chance to win. And, this team doesn't get too high or too low. It's it's been very consistent in that manner the whole year. And so that's been a good thing.
There we go. Jared
Turn
Weiss.
your mic off.
One more question. Jared Weiss, CLNS Media. You use Al as a primary ball handler a lot on the perimeter. How did that open up that space for all the smaller guys to be able to move around?
I mean, Al has been one of our primary playmakers all year. There were times in the Chicago series especially where he brought the ball down the floor for us. And we played out of kind of a 5-out look. And, today he was usually the second guy to touch it and was able to read whatever was the right next play. When we went on a run at the end of the third, he was passing out of the post. His ability to make people around him better has been very helpful to our team, obviously.